Hello, welcome back to Fred in the Shed. I hope you're well today. Got a new radio in the shack, but quite interested to show you this one. This is the ATS 125, a completely brand new radio to ATS. Uses the popular TEF6686 chip with the ESP32 controller. Now, we've looked at ATS radios in the past. Quite recently, we revisited they're pretty decent actually, the ATS 20 Plus. I can't believe it, but this radio is still less than £20 from Banggood. Can you believe it? And then we looked at its bigger brother, which was the ATS 25. Comes in about 3 different versions. And then I think about 18 months ago, we looked at this little one, the ATS 120, which in effect really was the ATS 25 in a version that's small enough that you could fit in your shirt pocket. But this one is completely new because it's the first one that they've used with the TEF6686 chip. So it's very, very sophisticated. Let's get it on the bench and have a closer look. So when you compare it to its smaller brother, the ATS 120, you can see that they've used the same concept. And I think that's a really good thing, actually. You've got this brushed aluminium body here. And then on the top and the bottom, we have what looks like printed circuit board, which is like a fiberglass, isn't it? It's pretty much what it is. It's quite unique, but it certainly looks nice. It's not really an expensive radio. Price-wise, this is currently on Banggood. I think it's around about £73, and I'll probably get you a little discount on that. So it's not, you know, it looks rather classy in my opinion. Has got a lot more buttons on the radio. One thing I criticised the ATS 120 heavily, although it's a touchscreen, the buttons were not labelled. These buttons are labelled, but they seem to be silkscreen printed in a sort of a, it's a weird colour. They've chose like a light grey. And yeah, I mean, I can see on the monitor, you're struggling to see this under the LED lights, and I'm not doing any better. It's a bit of a weird choice. I think if they'd have done that in black or even in white, it would have showed up better. That is what it is. But at least we have a lot more menu buttons and program buttons on the radio itself. Now then, because this uses the TEF6686 chip, a lot of these options for the display and also the operation of the radio is going to be very, very, very configurable, and I really won't be able to show you everything on this video. It'll just go on forever. It'll be over an hour long and you'll all get bored. So we will have a look at the menu options, but like I say, this isn't going to be a complete technical guide to the radio, but hopefully we'll get an idea of its performance. Also, I won't bother you with an unboxing experience because there isn't one. You get a plain cardboard box, and inside that you get a reasonable quality USB-C lead for charging, and you get a plastic stylus. You are going to need that because obviously this is a touchscreen radio. No instructions, unfortunately. They still haven't come up with any instructions. So it's one of those sort of radios that you're going to have to sort of play with it yourself, you know, and just go round and sort of try the different menu options. If you completely mess it up, there is a simple reset. Gets you back to factory settings. Basic tuning on the radio. Being a TEF chip, of course, we can expect very, very good sensitivity on FM, and it doesn't disappoint because there are 5 FM ranges, all the way down to 65 megahertz for the DX band, of course up to 108 megahertz. Has airband as well on the AM. Shortwave comes in 1.7 megahertz to 27 megahertz dead. I'm always a little bit disappointed that if they could just bring it up to 28 megahertz, we could get the AM/CB band, but it stops at 27. Medium wave, yeah, 520 to 1720 with the 9 and 10k step rates, and also we have long wave. I think there's only one station I can pick up on long wave now. Comes with a 2500 mAh lithium battery, 2.4 inch 320 by 240 touchscreen, and I can confirm that it is very, very sharp. 820 millimeters extendable whip antenna. That is quite long. Firmware upgradable, and it does have, surprisingly, built-in Wi-Fi as well, so we shouldn't have to attach it to a computer. Also, good thing to note on this radio is the Bluetooth is two-way, so we have a setting so we can use it as a Bluetooth speaker, but also by pressing this button here we can use Bluetooth earbuds and headphones, and that's quite rare on one of these radios. quick look around the radio. Top of the radio, we have, as I say, two little pots here. One for the tuning, which is also a pressable encoder for the menu options. And then the second one, a bit surprising really, is just purely a squelch control, which I suppose is probably for your FM DXing maybe. Personally, I'll be honest with you, I'd have preferred that if it was a volume. I keep going to it, thinking it's a volume, but it's not. But that's how they did it. USB charging port, and then that very long 820mm antenna. On the back of the radio, a bit like the smaller ATS 25, we have a sort of printed circuit board effect here, which shows an AM antenna. Now I'm not sure, I'm not going to take this apart, but I'm not sure if there is maybe a ferrite rod antenna in there, or that this printing is the AM antenna. But I can confirm, because I have been using it, that it picks up AM really well, surprisingly. It does have a 3.5mm jack for a auxiliary antenna for the shortwave and also the FM. If you can read the printing by the keypad, we can use these buttons to type in the frequency directly, and that is a good advantage over the ATS 120. Now, like all of these TEF radios, it's a bit of a Pandora's box once we dive into the menu options. They're so substantial. But if you want to use it on a day-to-day basis, this one is very easy to tune. First off, we've got manual tune, simple VFO there, depending on the step rate, of course. There we go. We can just tune up and it will just go up in the step rate. If you want to do a more detailed tune, just push the VFO once. Hopefully you can see that. We get like a little green indicator there. Yeah, and then we can go up 1Ks and do it again, 10. So very easy to tune. If you push the mode button once there, we go into auto tune, and then we just turn the VFO and it goes into seek mode. It mutes the volume, stops when it comes to a station. And then the final option is your memories. So basically you can now search through all of your preset memories. So it doesn't have to be a difficult radio to use on a day-to-day basis. A few other features we've got while we're on medium wave, we can change the bandwidth. I won't really demonstrate the sound of the radio because at the moment we're up in all these lights on in the shack and it really doesn't do the radio any justice. We'll do it all downstairs, but again we can change the bandwidth, go up to I think it's 8 or 9, 8 kilohertz there, completely adjustable. And then to save this onto a memory, we just hold down a DX button and then enter. So yeah, pretty easy. Very easy to obtain the menu options. Just click the area we're interested in, and there we go. So we're into the main menu here. There is so much in this radio. I mean, it's just ridiculous, really, what you can do. Also in the main settings here, operational settings, for example. There we go. So we've got all of this that we can adjust and play with. It does say screen rotation. I've not been able to get that to work. But again, we can reverse the rotary encoders. It'd be nice if we could change that squelch to volume though. I do find that a little bit awkward to use. And again, I mean, this is where it gets really good. Audio settings. Yeah, really fantastic. Set the high, we've got high cuts as well here, high cut threshold. Again, that's really useful when we get down to shortwave listening. Very good to be able to cut some of that here, especially if you're going to use headphones. And I do recommend you use headphones on this radio because the stereo separation on FM is absolutely phenomenal, unbelievable. And then we've got FM settings, a whole bank of FM settings here, as you can see. Noise blanker as well, FM noise blanker, very good. And yeah, I mean, you can just play with this to your heart's content. That's what this radio is all about, really. Same thing in AM, not as much I don't suppose, but same thing really. Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, it really is amazing. Another thing that's probably quite useful is connectivity here. So this is where we go in. We've got all of our Wi-Fi here. We switch our Wi-Fi off. Also the Bluetooth as well. Very good for firmware updates, saves you having to connect to a computer. And yeah, I mean, it just goes on and on really, doesn't it? If we go down to other settings, again, system information should give us the firmware version. There we go. Oh, it's actually telling us telling us all of the capacities of the memories here. Just like a computer, really, isn't it? Yeah. Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. So yeah, you can play with this, I say, to your heart's content. This is the beauty of these TEF radios. If you like tinkering with the menus, absolutely fantastic. But it's still quite a usable radio if you just want to use it on a day-to-day basis. Right, I think we'll have a listen to how the radio sounds now. We'll take it outside for that. It's not fair to do it up here. Now, one downside of the TEF6686 chip is that although it has shortwave across the broadcast band, it doesn't support SSB, upper and lower sideband, so you can't listen to ham radio on this radio. It's a bit of a shame. I mean, I'm hoping that's something that they might add in the future if the chip can support it. Antenna-wise, we'll try it on its really long antenna. I'll also probably connect through the socket my little Dishaboo GA800 loop antenna on the shortwave band. But anyway, let's take it outside.
Do you see him writing the story tonight?
I do. I think, you know, not just him, you know, the Real Betis team, especially their attacking lineup, you know, Anthony.
कोई कमी नहीं छोटे होंदे पावे तेरे च कोई विटामिन विटामिन दी कमी रही होवे हुन ते कोई कमी नहीं
for the wide-range weapons, I think since the day one of the full-scale invasion, and we are grateful that right now
you might then have to build them on Ukrainian soil. So a lot of unanswered questions, as he was saying there. The Kremlin has warned, haven't they, that any decision to...
with it took him much longer to write. Mr. Abbott reflected that this was, perhaps, a unique way of proposing to a lady. He hoped Miss Bunkle would take it in the right spirit. The pen is mightier would end with the wedding of Mr. Nunn and Miss Elizabeth Wade.
Sorry, I felt a bit like I was in Grange Hill, you know, when they started the radio station and they put loads of egg boxes on the wall with Zammo. Now...
is facing particular criticism. Hospitals were told more than 20 years ago that Lusquanic had downloaded videos of child rape.
With London, as we know, some members of the medical profession have raised concerns around regarding cannabis. You can get more details.
You wanna be? Where art thou? Why not upon me? See it in my mind like
and you've just come up with another. So do we say that actually the government has been, it's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction to just let all these people out without fully exploring some of the alternatives that you're talking about?
So we've got our birth flowers in fine line. I've got mine on the wrist and she's got hers on the back of her arm.
I love it! And what is your flower?
Working, did your truck break down? Did you burn through my...
Classic FM.
Or go back. It's the Cardigans. It's right here on your glorious Radio X. Go and take it.
To pick up from there.
And there we go.
All right.
Former Arsenal captain Thierry Henry says the club have underachieved.
Помни, что твоя судьба – это моя судьба. Будь достоин моего
Federația Națională pentru Antreprenoriat
Stato numero 51. Lluvias mortales y tormentas en Pakistan causaron la muerte.
So I think the question about whether it's actually taking away the opportunity.
Will be administered in the hands, not on the tongue. Clean water, soap.
Verse 14, and I saw, and behold, a white cloud, and on the cloud I saw one sitting like the Son of Man, this is a simile, but I think the simile can be made into
Pretty much
metaphor.
every great power is doing this.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Zhang Dong from the University of International Business and Economics.
الدراسات الأندلسية في الجامعات الإسبانية في أقسام اللغة العربية، لكن كما تقول يعني كما تفضلت بالجامعة، ونتمنى أن يأتي في المستقبل من يستطيع أن يقوم بهذا.
Available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may share your feedback about this program through email at airnsgtalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 928-909-404.
Його останньою думкою було захистити дітей, яких він віддалив від Амвона. Його смерть стала вінцем життя, вірного покликанню та Євангелію.
I think the trend, in the recent years has to do with the Japanese sluggish, right, by negative 0.8% by the end of this year. And so even, with the tariff truce, Japanese economy is still pretty much hard hit by the current tariff rate, especially when you look at Toyota.
I think overall the receive was very, very good on this radio. The more of these 6686 radios I'm testing, the more I'm starting to appreciate them. I think one of the features it seems to be of this chip is it rejects a lot of interference and a lot of cross mode. So when I was on shortwave, for example, I wasn't hearing any ghost radio stations which would be from that very powerful transmitting station at Brookman's Park. That I do find I get that with SDR radios in particular, and also some of the cheaper DSP type radios. You suffer from that, certainly down the lower part of the frequencies. This one, absolutely clear, and when I did the search as well, it didn't stop at any spurious interference or anything like that. So very, very good. It's obviously got some kind of bandpass filtering built into that chip, because they all seem the same. Again, long wave, very little interference on long wave. Very, very clean receive. That's probably one of the best on long wave. Medium wave, it's about average, I would say. I don't think it's anything special on medium wave. And of course, its crown is FM. The FM performance of the TEF chip is absolutely superb. That's really where it's all at. So sensitive and so selective. And also, when you get a good, strong signal, you get all of that additional RDS information comes up, and the stereo separation is quite astounding on headphones. It's not all perfect though, not all perfect. When we look at the fascia on the radio, although it does look very nice, and I do say it does look expensive, when I was actually outside, this print on the actual face of it here, very difficult to read. And quite a few times I was trying to turn the volume up and down, and I was hitting the Bluetooth button instead because I just couldn't read it. I don't understand really why they don't print that in black. It would make the whole thing easier to use. Another thing that bothered me was the fact that, yes, you do have Bluetooth headphones, and they connected to my Bluetooth headphones very easily. I had no problems there, and they were certainly loud enough. But what they've done away with, which they did have on the ATS 120, is a standard 3.5mm headphone jack. And on the ATS 125, all you've got now is the USB charge port. So I can understand their way of thinking. Yes, they've given you Bluetooth for headphones, but I like to use dedicated radio earphones. And I'm sure you might have a favourite set of earphones as well. And it would have been very nice to have been able to have used the Bluetooth and or use a set of ordinary headphones, but that option has been removed, and I think that's a bit of a step backwards. Another thing that, again, I think they could do better with, really, is when it comes down to the two pot controls here, the encoders. The tuning, absolutely fine, and obviously that doubles up for the step rate on the tuning, but the squelch encoder, I'm not really going to be using that. I suppose you could use it on a search if you wanted to sort of filter out interference, but it's so good anyway at doing that. I found I didn't use it. So I really would have preferred that to have been a volume control, or even, probably maybe better still, a RF gain control or attenuation or something, so I could just adjust the signal strength. That would have been perfect. As a squelch, yeah, it's a little bit lost in my opinion. Just one more thing that was a little bit tricky when I was doing the review, and that is that the extension antenna socket is right at the bottom there. Now, it's not such a problem on the ATS 120, that's on the bottom, but the ATS, as you can see on the 120, you can twist or turn the screen in the menus. I tried to do that on this radio. It did seem to have an option, but I couldn't get it to work, and as I've got no instructions with the radio. But it means that when you plug in an external antenna, obviously you can't stand the radio up, so you have to use it on the side. And I'm sure there must be a way of turning that screen like its little sister here, but I couldn't find a way to do that, so it did make it a little bit awkward. And I think probably the final hurdle, which affects all of these 6686 radios, is the fact that the TEF chip at the moment doesn't support SSB. You don't get upper and lower sideband, so you can't listen to the handbands. Now, I'm sure if you questioned ATS, they would argue and say, well, we've given you the 120, that is an all-mode radio. But this one is a nicer case and has more buttons on it, makes it easier to use. Looking at other radios with the TEF chip on the market, I've had a look today on the internet. This is one of the very newest ones. I'm not seeing any of them with sideband, so I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I know some of you won't get past that because obviously you like to listen to DX and ham radio. Hopefully in the future, with a bit more development, we will get it. Myself, I had the same feeling at first, but I tell you, I'm getting used to this TEF chip now. I've reviewed a couple of these recently, and I'm actually really liking it. So I'm going to try and get at least one or two of these TEF 686 radios in the shack, different layouts, maybe slightly bigger speaker, different layouts on the buttons. And yeah, I think we'll continue to review these radios. It's certainly growing on me. I think that's really about it for the video. Sorry I didn't go through all of those menu options on it. There was just way too many. It would be a 3-hour video and no one would watch it. It would be a waste of time. As always, this radio was sent in for review from Banggood, so thank you to them. There will be a link in the description if you want to go away and check it out yourselves. As I mentioned earlier, cost as I'm making this video, total cost to the UK is £73, including delivery. I always get a little discount code from Banggood. They're very good to me and you lot watching the videos. I'll put that in the description. That will bring it down certainly below £70, I would have thought. If you're watching this video 18 months in the future, my code won't work forever, so I do apologise if it doesn't work. But I think that's it. I think that's the end of the video. As always, I would like to thank you all for watching my videos. I do really appreciate your view time and the fact that you come back and you drop by. And that's it really. So a thumbs up from Fred in the Shed. If you get a second, just hit me a thumbs up down below. I do like to see that. But as always, please look after each other. Stay safe, of course, and catch you on the next video. Cheers, guys.
Fred's in the shed where the magic unfolds. Fred in the shed with his trusty CB. He's a friend to the lonely on a frequency.